Hello and welcome to YesAuto. I'm Cam Tate, and this week I'd like to talk about the upcoming BMW M3 and M4 because some of my colleagues in the car world have been behind the wheel of prototype versions of each car. Of course, they didn't ask me to come along because they know I'm too busy driving budget SUVs around the YesAuto sprint course. That and, well, we only have 200 subscribers. The M3 Saloon and M4 Coupe are expected to make their world debuts before the year is out. And while the test cars driven by the press were prototypes, the fact they're drivable and somewhat representative of the final product suggests the sports cars aren't far off from appearing in the metal for the first time. With the new M3 and M4 just around the corner, I thought it would be a good idea to bring you up to speed on the new sports cars because, and this is by no means hyperbole, they could be the most important cars of 2021. This is it, the new M3. No, don't worry, it won't actually look like a blocky black and white mess. This is just a camouflage wrap manufacturers chuck onto their cars while undergoing pre-production testing, so people don't see the full design until the covers come off later this year. BMW doesn't want to ruin the surprise after all. So in terms of design, we know very little about the new sports cars. However, there have been a few leaks that give us a good idea of what the cars will look like. Images of the cars leaked online earlier this year suggest the back of the M3 will feature BMW M's signature quad exhaust system, which protrudes from a small body colour diffuser. There's also a small lip stuck on top of the boot, which is either dressed in gloss black or is made of carbon fibre. As for the M4, most leaks suggest that it will have a gigantic front grille that first appeared on the BMW 4 Series. In fact, we did a video about BMW's controversial designs a few weeks ago, so why not check it out by clicking the link in the top right hand corner. Anyway, we know it'll be on the M4, that's a given, and the sheer amount of camouflage at the front of the M3 suggests it'll drop the now dinky kidney grills of the 3 Series in favour of the 4's massive gob. We also know that both cars will be built on the company's new CLAR production platform, which underpins most BMW models produced from 2015 onwards. The critical thing here is that it's lighter than the underpinnings of the old F8 generation M3 and M4, and it's capable of housing battery electric powertrains too. Wait, electric power? No, don't worry, BMW doesn't plan on releasing EV versions of the M3 or M4 anytime soon. Although it hasn't explicitly ruled it out for some point in the future, but anyway. The sports cars will release with good old-fashioned combustion engines, and they'll be the most powerful cars adorned with the M3 and M4 badges ever made. Open up the bonnet of either car and you'll find M Division's new S58 straight-six engine. The 3-litre twin-turbo unit is the successor to the S55 motor found in the outgoing M3 and M4, albeit with some serious updates to deliver even more power. Like the S55, the S58 comes with a pair of mono-scroll turbochargers, with the first turbine channeling compressed air into cylinders 1 to 3 and the second feeding cylinders 4 to 6. BMW's M Division has also upgraded the compressors and intercooler. There's also an electronically controlled wastegate, while the injector pressure has been upped from 200 bar to 350. So what does that all mean? Well, in standard guise, the M3 and M4 boast an output of 473 brake horsepower and 601 Newton meters of torque, 29 brake horsepower and 50 Newton meters of torque more than the outgoing models. But if you want even more performance, you can go for the M3/4 competition, which ups the power output to 501 bhp while torque remains the same at 601 Newton meters. We've also heard that the car will sound better than its predecessor and will rev all the way up to 7,200 RPM. We don't know any performance details just yet, but there's a very good chance it'll obliterate the outgoing model's 0 to 62 dash of 4.3 seconds. Top speed will be limited to 155 miles per hour, but I doubt it would be too difficult to find someone who's willing and able to remove the limiter for you, if you live in Germany and make frequent use of the country's unlimited autobahn, that is. But the next-gen versions of the M3 and M4 aren't all about power. While the previous models packed plenty of performance, they weren't exactly the most driver-focused cars to come out of Munich. However, that's all about to change on the new models thanks to one small thing. Yes, that's right, the new M3 and M4 will be available with a manual gearbox for the first time since the E90 generation, and I cannot tell you how happy that makes me. Go for the manual option and you'll have 6 gears to choose from, while the faster yet less engaging automatic transmission ups the gear count to 8. But this is where things start to get a little complicated. Standard cars will be offered in both manual and automatic form, with both options coming in rear-wheel drive with BMW's electronically controlled locking differential. However, if you want a competition model, you'll have to settle for the 8-speed auto. The competition will also be the only model available with BMW's xDrive all-wheel drive system, the first time an M3 and M4 badge vehicle has been offered in all-wheel drive form. If you're looking for all-wheel drive acceleration, but also want a car that'll give you rear-wheel drive skids, then the xDrive is the best option for you. Most of the time it'll send 40% of the power to the front axle and the rest to the rear to give the car a little extra stability. However, most M cars fitted with an xDrive system will allow you to send most power to the rear axle if you want to slide about. The only downside is you'll be carrying around all the extra weight that comes with an all-wheel drive system. If track driving is more to your taste, then you'll want to spec the competition with a rear-wheel drive layout. Speaking of wheels, the M3 and M4 will come with 18-inch rims at the front and 19s at the back. Go for the competition model and the wheels grow to 19s at the front and 20s at the back. The new M3 and M4 are shaping up to be significantly better machines than their predecessors, and it's not like the old 3 and 4 were bad cars. They simply lacked the character of M3s of old. The only thing that worries me though is that some of the select few who got to drive the prototypes say the manual gearbox didn't feel nearly as good as it should do on an M car. That being said, it could just be a pre-production quirk that BMW addresses ahead of release. But you know how it goes down by now. I'd like to know what you think. If you had £60,000 to spend on a new performance car, which one would you go for? The 4-door M3 or the 2-door M4? Or would you go for something different? Would you go for the V8 engine C63 AMG or the more practical Audi RS4 Avant? Let me know in the comments below and I'll come and join you. And don't forget to check out all the latest car news and reviews by heading over to YesAuto.com. I'm Cam Tate. I'll see you next week.